All right, everyone. Hello, this is Jeff, and welcome to my latest video. I have not been able to post for a while. I had some job issues, lost one, and gained another. So finally back on track, and I've been working on this beauty right here. I'm very pleased with how it turned out, and this was sort of my own idea. I did get the idea from one post out there on YouTube, and gave me the idea for the shape of this little mini cocktail machine that I built. And built this from scratch. I'm just giving you sort of an overview right now. Got it up here on our kitchen table, get some good light, and obviously I don't have it on, and what I'm going to end up doing is kind of just introduce it a little bit, and then I am going to show you the insides before I clamp down the top and show you how things work. So I will be back in just a moment. Okay, I'm back, and I've got it open here. What I've done is taken the bezel off. I can start with that. Here's the bezel. Basically, it's just a piece of plexiglass, Lexan to be precise, which is a little stronger and less liable to crack. And all I did was really just spray painted the back side here. I cut out where I wanted to before I peeled the plastic off, spray painted it, and it works really nice. I'll get to how the monitor is mounted. You'll see there's some holes in the bezel there, but I'll show you that soon. You can see that this is just a LCD monitor, Dell 19-inch, and obviously there's a little hole here where the normal bracket would go, and I'll show you how I ended up using that. It's just VGA, regular power, and so this thing is made of the MDF board. I hope that's right. I get lost on all these acronyms, but really nice wood substitute, but better than particle board. I used 1/2 inch, and you can see how thick that is. 1/2 inch was a little tricky. I may end up using 3/4 inch if I do this again, but didn't want it to be too heavy. But just heavy enough. I think it's going to work out nice. It just was tricky to find the right size screws. But let's just dive into this thing. So this is a cocktail machine, and I debated on what board to put in there, and I ran across this baby right here. I had heard about it but kind of forgot about it, and that right there is the Arcade SD board. And you can't see it very well. I don't have both control panels taken off, but right in here is an SD card you can pull in and out, and you can load all the games on there, and it works very well. I got it from Phoenix Arcade. The maker, I think Clay, he just did such a fantastic job with this thing, and I'm really happy with it. And it's got so many other games than the 60-in-1 that I have downstairs in my big cocktail machine. Love the 60-in-1, don't get me wrong, it's awesome, but this one has some great games that one doesn't, and you'll see the differences here later on. But that is the PCB, and you can see that basically I just bundled up the JAMA cable here rather than cutting them and all that stuff, because the ends were already on there. And you can see how I ended up mounting the monitor. I ended up using a couple pieces of this board here, a 3/4 inch, a 1/2 inch. Turned out to be just the right height, and it just pops down right on there. So you can see that it works really nicely. And of course, just regular old speaker, because these are old school games, Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and all those things. So there was no stereo, so one speaker is plenty. And that's the power supply right there. And this did come in a case, and so I just took the case off to give myself some more room. and I'm wired up right there with no problem for the PCB and for the monitor. And I mounted this a couple little buttons over here. This is my test button right here, and I'll show you that later. And this is the power switcher, and this worked really nicely. You can see on the outside, I might as well show you now. But just regular old desktop PC outlet. Turn it on and off, and then of course the little test switcher, my little Space Invaders sticker there. It's actually not stuck on yet, just not sure what I'm going to do with stickers, if any. And I have some pretty inexpensive joysticks in here because I was going 4-way. I had to do a little altercation on these. This is the ball top, as you can see over here. I'll just show you. There's the ball top, and there's the short staff, and a couple buttons over here. The joystick turned out pretty good. I had to move from the 8-way to the 4-way, but there was some bumps right in between here on all these. I had to kind of trim them off to make it nice and smooth, but now it works really nicely. And as you can see, I basically have 4 screws here, 4 black screws that I can take out real quick and gain access. That's where we're going to be able to gain access to all this stuff. The monitor will be a lot harder, even though it's possible to get in and out if something happens. But you can see how easily I pulled that off, and just set them right here on these boards. And this is that's player 2. This is player 1. Player 1 works very well. You only need 2 buttons for these games. So you've got basically a jump and a shoot, and then if there's 2 buttons, you got your 2. Player 1, player 2. And on this side, I've got a couple vents. I'm not really sure if I actually need them or not. A couple Galaga characters there. I got stuck on there as thoughts of putting them on there. They're just kind of there for me to look at for a while. But I cut these out. So I knew that this monitor was going to send off a lot of heat, so I wanted to make sure that it didn't overheat in here. And then I just found some nice screening, this metal screening. Just cut it out with some snips and pasted it on the inside here. And I think it turned out pretty good. And then of course the overlay here, this control panel overlay is fantastic. It really, I sent it in. Arcade Overlays is where I found the graphic. I sent in the dimensions. They gave me the exact dimensions. Came back perfect. Stuck on there so nicely, and I really like it. It's vinyl, so you don't have to put any kind of Lexan or anything over top your control panel because this can handle it. And it turned out really nice. I'm very happy with the overlay there. So I'm going to go ahead, now that I've explained everything. I think didn't miss anything. But I'm going to go ahead and put it back together a little bit, and then I'll come back. Okay, I'm back real quick. I've got everything together here, and just wanted to show you how it looks all together. So it was really easy to just pop the old control panel back on here, and I put the monitor all the way back in there, which was easy. Just set it in there. And then this bezel, you can see I got some screws in here. I got 8 screws in there, strategically placed, and they're black. They look pretty nice. They're pretty flush, and you can see it looks. Obviously there's a glare, but it looks really nice. You'll see how it looks here in a moment after I turn it on. But with this bezel on here, the way I've got it, you can actually just take this thing and spin it up and turn it over, or you can flip it around. I wanted to make it so that it was nice and secure in there. There was no great way to mount the monitor and secure it down. So this bezel really holds it in place. And while I got this up here, I will show you I got some feet on here too, right? So that when you put it on the table, you get some stick, because I know if you guys are like me, you actually end up getting pretty brutal with the joystick. So we want to keep it still. And I will come back and show you the games.